I know I'm the only one standing between you and food. I'll try to keep it very quick. Uh, just so that we see everybody's paying attention. How many of you have tried playing with ChatGPT? Anyone who has never heard of it so far? We're not judging. Cool. Thank you so much for your time, everyone, today for this. We are very excited about how finally we are seeing AI literally transforming how we do a business. Before we sort of jump deeper into how we are leveraging GPT into CX, I'll just quickly do a quick introduction about Locobuzz. We are a unified CX platform. We basically help brands connect better with their customers. The idea is whether you're a brand monitoring your campaigns or your online presence, whether you want to respond to your customer queries, address grievances or any kind of problems they may face, or even if you want to publish content on various digital media properties you are present on and work on a better strategy for smarter engagement, or use this tool for market research or competitive benchmarking. All of these things sort of are very beautifully enabled by a single platform. We call that platform also Locobuzz. And the underpinning of it is a lot of machine learning, data science, lots of BI tools to make it all sort of very, very intuitive and easy. We touch across many digital touch points. So, right from your social media to your messaging channels to your review sites, even your app reviews and all of that is all sort of fed into one single database, and then it helps you not only engage, analyze, but even automate. CRM is a very important play in anything we do facing customers. Locobuzz has very easy single-click integrations into the most popular CRMs which are out there as well. Moving forward to while you are here, a little bit of definition of what's generative AI. So basically think of AI which can generate new content for you. Whether the content is text, whether it is images or videos, all of it is possible. What's very remarkable is finally, we are using ChatGPT as a first application which sort of has become very popular on the generative AI technology. And what's been very remarkable about it is that how it is super smart. We're not going to go into what's under the hood, but we see many applications of that in CX. The most important aspect, when you look at the CX ecosystem, you need to be able to have an interesting turnaround time, sometimes very unrealistic also. And depending upon the business you are in, the amount of knowledge base somebody has to refer to can be a daunting task. And sometimes these data points keep changing. So the trick question I ask is, you all bank with different banks, but if I ask you what is the fixed deposit interest rate today in your bank, you would not know. But you would expect a customer support person you call up to know exactly what it is today. And it is a very challenging task. And there are many different aspects around it in terms of how do I increase the window of support, how do I increase the language of support and all of those things. So there are some real challenges which can be very beautifully addressed. This is just a bit of a theory around how technology has evolved between internet, cloud, and generative AI. So when internet happened, basically it was all about reviews, having a presence online. Slowly it became about having presence across multiple platforms, whether it is Facebook, Twitter, all of that. Customers sort of were able to connect, reach out. Those were the days when you would send an email to a brand, and after 1 month, if they reply, you would jump with joy saying, I was heard, and they replied to me. And we very quickly moved to the current situation where, if the brand doesn't reply to you in 5 minutes, you're like, what the heck do they think about themselves? I'm such an important customer. So our sort of patience has really reduced, not just in expectations of, likes or comments in what we post, but also how quickly a brand needs to respond to us. And for brand, it becomes extremely challenging because you want the Netflix experience. So you are watching it on a device, you stop your series on 7 minutes, 30 seconds, you go to your home, you start it, and it starts at 7 minutes, 20 seconds or more. So you want that consistent experience on the brand. So you're talking to them on phone, and then you move to Twitter, you expect them to know, and you expect them to know exactly what you spoke on the phone with another person. So that creates a lot of interesting challenges for the brand to create a 360-degree view. the way we look at generative AI now is sort of, a very formidable tool or a buddy to really simplify a lot of these things. So we have been dabbling with AI for a lot of time, right? So AI is nothing new. We've been hearing about chatbots and automation for many, many years. But the joke which we techies have is that it's all about deep tech when you're talking to the VCs to raise money. It's about machine learning when you're hiring engineers. And it's about if-else loop when you're actually writing the code. And this is where generative AI sort of really stands out, because it really makes it quite amazing. And and I'm not saying it just because I am personally very excited about it. We have been doing a lot of sort of paid POCs with a lot of key customers, and the feedback has been just remarkable. And I'm sort of not going to spend too much time going through what you can sort of do with it and all of that. But these are some very interesting challenges in CX, and I'll just talk about how generative AI can help with it. So number one being people movement. So what it means is, you would have realized if you're traveling again that how the customer service or delight in aviation has gone down, but the airfares have just skyrocketed. I think one of the key challenges is people movement. We see people movement challenges not just in hospitality, but in customer service also. And depending upon the business you are in, training somebody new to have the confidence that they will respond to customers effectively is a very costly and a time-consuming sort of behavior. And especially with people moving so fast, it becomes a huge challenge. Then the other aspect is high volume. So everybody is now digitally connected thanks to Geo. Everybody has a social media account. Some people I know for sure, when we look at the complaints, so we work with Reliance as well, we work with SBI as well. And these two examples are very interesting because of the scale or the number of lives they touch upon. So we sometimes see people with 1 or 2 followers, they've created their social media identity just to be able to reach out and complain. Because they have that confidence that on social media, the response times are much better than a typical phone call or an email. So for the brand, it resulted into a lot of conversations, a lot of volume of queries and complaints. Then comes the knowledge barrier. I come in new, I don't know how this works. For example, if I ask everybody here, how many of you heard of a super app called Tata Neu? Now, if I ask how much is a Tata Neu coin worth, so depending upon different people, the answers can vary and all of those. So it gets very complicated. And then can you redeem it on this platform, or can you redeem on that platform? Can I pay by UPI? Can I buy? It gets very, very complicated, right? And then the expectation is also round the clock. So to address some of these things, and then finally emotional intelligence. So one of the most interesting things I remember when I got into the business is I realized that the largest of the brands trust their reputation with the least paid employee in their organization. I don't know how many of you can process this. So the guy or the gal sitting on your social media handle, responding on your behalf, trust me, is not paid as much as they should. Sometimes they are frustrated. I'm sure how many of you would have heard our account got hacked, we did not post that employee has been fired, all that stuff, right? It keeps happening to McDonald's very frequently. I think every year they have this fiasco where they have to give out food for a year for free because somebody just said, F off, whatever, right? So it happens. People are on this job where they're constantly going from one disgruntled customer to another disgruntled customer. So it takes a toll on you, but when you have a beautiful AI system, no matter how rude you get, you forget your pleases or thank yous, it will still come back, be polite to you, right? So the way we look at it is, very interesting. Stage 1, almost 50% of what you do would be done by the bot. Have you tried rewriting your emails using ChatGPT? Have you tried travel itineraries? Yeah, so what's very interesting is it's very easy to deflect 50% of your queries on CX right now using something like a generative AI, right? And it's so quick, and we'll talk about how easy it is to sort of get started. Stage 2 would be integrating it with some of your backend, query systems, where most of the common queries in D2C brands is where is my order and things like that. You immediately know you need to call an API, get that data, and write a beautiful sentence around it and sort of send the response back. Finally, you would be, start it, sit back and relax. You really wouldn't be doing anything. And it's so remarkable that this leap, which we are talking about, is not going to take many years. If how many of you had a joy of being in a Tesla? Okay. So even if, say, there's a Tesla and everybody gets to drive it, and you say, okay, autopilot, first thing you will do is you will have your hands on the wheel and you'll sort of be a bit jittery about it. Then slowly you'll probably put your hand behind the wheel and let it roll. Then you will probably do it in a less crowded road and all of that. It will take you many days, many hours, depending upon how, what kind of person you are, to go in the back seat and let the car drive. The car can literally drive right now also, but that journey is in our head a lot of times. And a lot of customer service queries is exactly in the same boat. The step 1, step 2, step 3 is more in our head than by technology limitation or any such restrictions. So it's going to happen very, very quickly. In fact, we have launched Response Genie about a month back, and we have about 2 or 3 customers of ours using it. And one of the most interesting, I'll skip this part, I'll just talk about one of the most interesting feedback which they gave us, and it's remarkable, is that they're no longer referring to their own templated responses. So if you are in the business of doing customer service, you will realize one of the most painstaking long process is to come up with a set of these templated responses or canned responses, we call them, which you encode in the system and which is used by the tool automatically to respond. Most interesting feedback which we got, which we did not expect, was they are not using the canned responses. The responses which generative AI is creating for them is better than the response which they had in the library. So the other ones are very obvious, right? It's faster, it's accurate, it's responding so nicely, all of that. But what I'm trying to emphasize here is that it is doing better than what really they expected. And if I just go back, how does it work, right? It's very, very easy. So what we do here is you upload your knowledge base. Your knowledge base doesn't have to be in a certain format, in a certain limit, nothing like that. We have cracked that. So you just upload your document. It could be like just parse my website, whatever it is, right? Once the knowledge base is updated, we run a little bit of our own sort of internal machine learning models on it, because there's one limitation on these generative AI models right now, that you can't train them just to your data set and have it to respond like that. So we use a concept of constraints and prompts, you might know. So what Microsoft has dubbed this as one-shot training. What it means is that if you want this beautifully trained AI model, which has taken many, many months on very expensive GPUs to train, you just put one large prompt with as much data as you want, and around that it will create a response. So your knowledge base is broken down into many, many different prompts basically, right? And then the whole process takes about 5 minutes. You upload your knowledge base and you're ready to roll. That's it. There's nothing else to be done there. And the responses, what we have done is on visual cues, that okay, the response is from your knowledge base or the response is from the world. Because somebody can come and ask, what do you think the stock price of HDFC Bank would be? Things like this happen, right? I mean, so it will still create a response for you. So it will tell the agent that am I responding using the knowledge base or am I responding using my own sort of, AI common sense, right? This is what it is. I believe that it's important to sort of keep a tab on what's happening. It is really going to transform the customer service industry in a very big way. What we are seeing also the use cases is beyond customer service. So the slides don't talk about it, but a couple of things which we are experimenting with is what we call as Data Genie. So Response Genie is for formulating responses. Data Genie is for analyzing your data for you. So, we all ask for these monthly, weekly reports, right, where there's a beautiful chart and there are 3 or 5 lines written behind it, and there is a person sitting and doing all of that stuff. That's also gone, right? So we have cracked that also, and it really writes very beautifully, impeccable. The challenges of this guy is good with data but sucks at English, all of that is gone. This guy understands data and understands English very well, writes, and you can change the tonality very nicely as well. Then we are also experimenting with the most common, obvious use case is generating content. So we heard a lot of people talk about scheduling content on social media, right? So not only can it schedule content, but it can help you create your content calendar as well. So these are some of the other applications which we are experimenting with. Yeah, that's all from my end. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you. Yes, please. Hi.
Great. Honestly, I was actually today kind of wanting to understand what is AI. It's like a godsend thing that you're replying here. See, I come from a retail franchisee model.
Okay.
Right? So definitely what you're saying in terms of AI and the kind of data calculations or the kind of responses that you will give will be completely to those kind of customers who are directly getting in touch with the parent company.
Correct.
So today if you're wanting to buy a Sony TV or maybe a Apple product or something like that, but generally we go to the stores, which is Chroma, Vijay Sales, right? So there is a kind of a disconnect there. So how do you think is AI going to be useful for such kind of a model wherein like we as a parent company have sold the or given the products to that retail or the franchisee and then the concerns are there? How do you kind of plug that consumer concerns or responses vis-a-vis what he is communicating with the parent company?
Okay, yeah, the very interesting question. In fact, it's so important that sometimes when you go with an intent of buying a product, how the salesperson explains product A over product B sort of tilts your decision in a certain way. I think it's a great use case of AI where you could imagine having a kiosk where I could have my questions addressed. Like for example, I remember recently I was trying to buy an air purifier. And I tried to do typical things which people do, go to Amazon or review or go to Google and then get to the reviews. And we keep talking about in our office that how GPT is going to kill Google. And they're like, screw it all, let's just go to GPT. So, and then I started with my prompts, right? So I just want a great air purifier. And it sort of went on with the typical stuff. Then I said, I live here in Bombay. These are my challenges. So I live in Powai and there's a very interesting cement plant which is opened up. So I said, I have a cement plant next to me. I have children of this age. No, I don't have any pets. And I could see how the models and all those definitions were changing. So leveraging that at a kiosk, say at a Chroma or some other facility, would have a very unbiased view into your products. Because sometimes you ask a question, the guy on the floor or the girl on the floor doesn't understand or says something else, and then you make a decision which is wrong. So so training GPT or generative AI on your product specs and having it respond with no matter what the queries is something which would solve this problem for you. And then you could come up with ways where ultimately people go because they are finding limited or no information. That's when you're asking questions. So if you make it available through bots or a physical kiosk where you are putting your products, it could make an impact. You can experiment in different ways.
Correct. Just kind of getting into that. Definitely what you said is correct, that again from a parent company these kind of queries will be very nicely addressed. But once you're there at the place and the kind of concerns or the queries that you have, which may be quite seasonal or to that particular geography or something like that, because we get a lot of because I handle the complaints and the concerns department also. So from our end, we have sent the product, right? And since the ecosystem is somehow so common, like yesterday only we had a customer who said that I want to see whether my particular product is pending or is it on delivery, is it in transit, is it that? Because we are so spoiled with the information that we get from everywhere, like in Pepperfry or in Amazon, we are able to see where is our product. But there are certain things which, like in insurance, we may not be able to know, okay, my document has moved from this desk to this desk. We don't know. Or when we are doing a finance, our documents are gone, now we're waiting whether it is approved or not approved. We don't know what is happening in between, right? So how is this ecosystem? Because consumer is same. I may take a loan, I may buy a furniture, I may buy a car, and I may buy maybe a toothpaste.
So processes and SLAs, ETAs, so you can move from ETA from 48 hours to 24 hours while the state remains the same. So you would need to reflect on how much time does it take on a certain process A to process B, and basis the time which is passed, you can just indicate tentative timeline. I mean, yeah. You're welcome. Yeah. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. Not sure if I'm audible.
Yeah.
But maybe a question on now, obviously everyone's mind has ChatGPT, right? How would you differentiate probably a mindset where people try to interact with the chatbot or ChatGPT versus a contact center, right? Because many times there's a perception that if you chat you get very static answers versus if you call you get your problem solved much faster, right? So So how is that shift happening with the help of digital to take this to a next level where people more trust chat rather than contact?
I wish I knew exactly what to do there, but it's a very, I think it's a problem which we have put on ourselves because, the kind of chatbots larger companies have put in, we talk about banks and insurance, is like you go to the chatbot and they are just of help in navigating the website. For example, I want to apply for a credit card, the chatbot will say, click here to apply, rather than taking your details and say application done. So, people adapt very quickly. We always underestimate that. So I believe that once you, the whole intent, so right, why do people go on social media, right, and complain? It's sort of frustrating for normal people to do that. There are troublemakers, of course, who just want freebies all the time. Is because you have set the expectation that SLA is certain. And that is what drives people, even of very private nature, to go out in public and complain or voice their grievance. I think this will change very quickly. The importance is how beautifully it is integrated into an end-to-end solution. So, for example, if I want to apply for a credit card, just telling me steps or redirecting me somewhere else is what people end up doing, goes away. And especially for complicated use cases, generative AI is so much better than what a human can do, because we have products, right, where you say step 1 ask this, step 2 ask this. All those products will become redundant now because it'll just do it for you like that.
So true. But I think moving towards that, everyone also should be trained on the prompt, right, asking the right prompt to get a right answer or a right response. There's also an area where probably
investment would be needed. Yes. Yeah. No, absolutely. That's the right way to think about it. I mean, but you need to start so that you will also understand people's expectations, and you can use that to sort of refine your prompts. But the best part about non-voice technologies is that it's very non-intrusive. I mean, especially the phones get extremely unreliable, especially when you're waiting on a call. And the call drop chances are as higher as the length of call wait goes up.
Invariably it drops, then it's a conversation.
You had a question at the back? Yeah.
So, talking about the situation, right, the number of steps.
Number of steps, yeah.
Yeah. So, what typically happens when we do a call to a bank, right? कोई credit card में कुछ problem है, हिंदी के लिए 1 दबाए, English के लिए 2 दबाए.
Yeah.
So generally it takes 5 to 10 minutes. So using AI, how will that cut down to 1 or 2 minutes की problem solve?
Yeah. So first thing is we know the language automatically. So we know what language you want the response. So it's like human being, right? Somebody asks a question in English, you respond in English. Somebody asks in Hindi, you respond in Hindi. Somebody asks in French, somebody like me will say, I don't know. Right? So it understands the language. Then it understands the context. It understands who you are. So for a system to call 3 APIs and learn 3 things about your last transaction is much faster, far more accurate than a human being trying to open a Salesforce dashboard and just waiting, loading, and then says, today our CRM is slow. Those things go away, right? So that's why I think the speed and the accuracy comes in and it helps the customer.
All good. Yeah.
Talk about ChatGPT, the good part and sometimes the bad part, right? Will there be a situation there wherein does it work the right way?
Of course, it's possible. It's the same thing as, has Tesla been in an accident? Much lesser than human beings. In fact, now people have moved ahead. If you work closely with Amazon, they will start saying, why waste your money on ChatGPT or OpenAI? We are giving you open source AI models for generative AI. Use that. In fact, the last time I was in the Amazon office a month ago, they were running a generative AI model on a laptop. And without the internet, and he's saying, ask it anything. And it was not as good as ChatGPT, but it was fairly good. So you will now see a flurry of open source. So you basically have basically generative AI is what you know the question, you're just training it to respond, you're just doing it the other way around, right? So based on the industry, right, it becomes very easy for you because you're not responsible for answering everything, right? You don't have to build a Siri, you have to build something which understands your domain. So the knowledge base or the training set is required is very small. So you will see a lot of such models come out, and those will be the models which would be used internally as well. Yes.
Yeah, so with the inclusion of AI, right,
Now, has the system become that robust that it can understand sarcasm in the system? So,
Oh yeah. Trust me, don't even go there. We have tried to trick it in so many ways. It is so. If you ask my personal opinion, the translation feature of ChatGPT is not as good as Google, which is surprising. It's just, trust me, it is just, it is no non-issue. In fact, we were thinking of, the cost is a bit high, we were thinking of leveraging it as a check before somebody responds. A lot of examples which you see on social media, oh, here is a bot use case where somebody has asked something and you see a response, trust me, it is not a bot. Nobody is using bots on social media. Okay, it's a human error, but we assume that we humans are so perfect that that's a bot. It's not a bot. It's that guy or the girl who's frustrated doing it from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. One disgruntled customer from another, they see something, oh, your service is so great, I will never use it. They say, thank you so much.
But does not most of the sites use that it is a bot or a competitor?
Yes, in social media, most of the, almost every brand we work with, and we've worked with over 200 some, and nobody uses automation. People who don't work with us also, we know they don't use automation. So people are using chatbots in a very contained environment, so in a messenger, or in a, Yes?
ChatGPT. Now it's generative AI, right? Generates messages, generates output.
Yeah.
Now, say for my company, using ChatGPT, a message is generated and given to the customer, which is in a way wrong. Who is going to own the responsibility?
The brand, of course. Who takes the responsibility when the agent sitting on your social media handle makes a mistake? It's the same. I mean, that's where your prompt engineering and your one-shot training becomes very effective. And the response is coming from a knowledge base. So what you can do, the checks and balances which you can put in place, is that I don't want to look at the response you are sending as long as the response is from your knowledge base. So that's how you safeguard yourself. So that's why step 1 is 50%. Where you say, I'm going to, instead of 10 people, I'm going to have 5 people. Their job is to eyeball every response that's generated and say, okay. Then you will feel confident about it. Then you will say, I don't need to eyeball anything as long as it's coming from knowledge base. Third step will be, I think you're doing much better than what I would have without my knowledge base also, so let it run. It is you who's going to take time. The process and the systems are there.
But the companies will have to take the responsibility for the message.
Even now, right? Do you realize the risk people run right now? So when I remember talking to some big four guys and they were like shocked. Do you realize the risk people run of these operations right now? Like you have people who can type anything and it will go. And usually these people are not even on your payroll. They're contractors. And you're letting it go because you think there is somebody who you will go after who gets paid $30,000 a month. That too if he's working in a decent company, otherwise maybe $20,000. And that guy or girl is writing on your behalf. And that is okay. That's harsh reality of how we are doing customer service today.
In that segment, that we talk about canned responses, normally they are guided, right? What should be their response?
Guided, yes, but they are sitting on the pilot is also guided. He can do what he wants, right? I mean,
Yeah, but that would be right?
but ultimately if you do something wrong, who is responsible? The brand. Yeah. Yes.
How do you strike a balance between when you take back manual intervention? So generally when I interact with chatbots, so I'm trying to find the solution to my problem. The bot is unable to understand. And after a point, I'm like, okay, please transfer me to an agent. It's again an automated response. So, and by nature also, given a choice between a bot and a manual interaction, I would prefer a manual interaction. So as a brand, how do you strike that choice as to when do you transfer
So,
it to an agent?
very interesting question. The reason why we prefer to go talk to a human being and try to press 9 or 0, no matter what the IVR is saying, is because we think that we have a very quick question and a person can immediately answer and my task will be done. I think that evolution will happen as the bots or the machines get smarter and respond to what you're needing. In a certain cases, how we think this will pan out is that in certain cases, generative AI will be used to collect all the information needed for a human agent to process. So what would it be, for example, if you are here for, say, your flight changes, it knows it needs your PNR and last name, for example, to authenticate. So it will say, can you, and if it doesn't know these things, it will ask you directly, or it will say, hey, I'm assuming your last name is this, and can you please provide me the PNR? So you will say, my last name is not this, but this, and my PNR is this, for example. Then it has all the information, right? Not say, it will call an API and give you the information, but in other cases, it will say, I have all the information needed, sending it to a well-trained agent to look after you. So instead of it being a pull by you, it will be a push from there, and so you are going to be serviced. So it becomes easier for the end human agent also to quickly process and assess and approve. All right, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Thanks.